We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
You are listening to The Underground Marketing Conspiracy, a secret ritual where entrepreneurs acquire highly classified and confidential business knowledge that the top 1% of income earners don't want you to know. And now, your host, Maddie Milligan.
Hello there, my fellow conspirator and conspirators. Welcome to another episode of The Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo! Today I want to talk to you about why everyone sucks at marketing. And I say everyone, including myself, including the greatest marketers of all time. I recently heard a statistic from one of the best copywriting companies in the world that the best copywriter that ever worked for their company had a 39% success rate. And that was the best. So even then, that means that over half of their campaigns flopped. And this is very common, to be honest. Just because you build something, whether it's a website or a funnel or you run some paid ads or you post on social media, whatever it is, that doesn't mean it's a good marketing strategy, right? Execution, the way it's executed, is a big component in if that campaign will be successful. So whenever I'm creating a campaign, I'm not attached to the outcome whatsoever, right? Especially if it's very new and there's no data for this business, then I'm just spending a little bit of ad money with them to get some data, to test out different audiences, right? To really get them to understand their avatar and get everything together. And if someone works with me and the first campaign is successful, like, it's honestly a miracle. Like, that's the way I consider it. It's like, this is why I think working with people long term over like a 3 to 6 to 12 month period is really your best option, because you could launch your first thing and then it fails a few weeks later and you built it so quickly and you were just trying to get a minimum viable product to get some data and it didn't do well. It's like, all right, like, that's the majority of campaigns, right? And a lot of people with funnels, as I've talked about before, they don't understand that you need to really look at each step of the funnel and see where the problem is, find where the bottleneck is, and then fix that. But a lot of people, they're like, okay, I'm going to build a funnel. And they go out and they spend a little bit of time and maybe they do it themselves or whatever. They set it up and then it bombs, right? And they're like, oh man, I spent $10 on Facebook ads and I didn't make $1 million. Like, what's happening? I thought it would work. It's like I clicked a bunch of buttons and I didn't make it rain and I don't drive a Lamborghini. Like, what's wrong? I don't understand it. This internet marketing thing must be a scam. And I just hear that. I'm like, dude, like, it takes multiple campaigns. Like, this again, like, if you're a very small to medium business, this is where being smart with your advertising and your marketing, planning ahead and having some sort of objective, that's what you should have. And because this is what they do in all the bigger companies who have unlimited ad spend, and they can outspend you wherever they want, but they're using a lot of old school marketing tactics and people are just tired of them because they're almost marketed to too much in a lot of cases. So they're seeing so many messages from these marketers and they're just kind of sick of seeing it. So when you come to them with a new perspective and you're a smaller business and you show that you actually care about them, they'll probably be more likely to actually do business with you, right? One thing about marketing, I don't think I've ever talked about this before, but I think there's a few things that people think they're really good at, that they think that they can do, but then when it comes time to actually doing it, they're going to suck, right? I have a lot of guy friends, and sure, I've been to bars before, and, you know, there'll be attractive women there, and every guy's like, okay, like, I'll just go there, and I'm going to go up to her and approach, and it's going to be absolutely perfect, right? And they think that they can do that, right? And sure enough, maybe they do, but a lot of the time they're probably going to fail, right? They're probably going to get rejected. They're probably going to feel shame or guilt and feel down on themselves. And it's like, oh, why didn't it work, right? Like, I tried once. And it's the same thing with guys. And they're like, oh, I'm going to get into a fight and I would win that fight. Like, if I were to fight, I would easily win, right? And it's like, no, you're probably going to get into that fight and you're going to get knocked out pretty hard, right? And it's the same thing with marketing, right? That's why I'm making this analogy. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to like do this marketing and everything's going to work. But marketing is one of the most complex subjects, right? It covers so many different things, right? You have the whole psychology aspect, you have the whole communication aspect, you have the visual aspect of it in terms of design, you have using the right words to communicate. I think I just said that. And then you really have your avatar, right? Understanding who the person that you're trying to market to is, right? What their demographics are, what their psychographics are, right? Meeting them in that conversation they're already having in their head, talking with them, that's really your best option, right? And having that right hook, that right headline, that right message that hits them at the right point, that resonates with that person, that's really what your marketing needs to be, right? And it can be complicated, it can not be complicated. Again, it really depends on what the objective is. And there's always different objectives, right? Because some businesses, they'll come to me and it's like, hey, I just, like, sales are fine. We just want to increase our social presence. In that case, it's like, all right, so let's create a campaign for that. In other cases, it's like, hey, I want like immediate sales. And it's like, all right, well, immediate sales are pretty hard. What have your sales been like recently? But, let's figure out what your sales should be for the next 3 to 6 to 12 months, right? So that's another thing you can do. A lot of businesses, it's like, we're at a point where we just want to reach as many people as possible. We just want maximum exposure and as many people as possible to be aware of our brand, right? And our logo and our design, and to really just get in their head and familiarize themselves with our brand to know that we're still alive, right? So it really depends on the objective and the state of the business as to what marketing campaigns should be run. And many people, like I said, like, they think everything's going to work out perfectly, but dude, everyone stinks at marketing, right? Like, no one could ever come to you with a game plan and be like, this 100% is going to win. If they were to come to me, I'd be like, no, this like, you can't make that kind of assumption, right? Like, whenever people come to me, I'm like, I'm always tell them, like, I'm cautiously optimistic this will do well. Like, I say that a lot because it's true. Because I've seen some stuff where I'm like, oh man, this is going to do so well. And then it doesn't do as well as I hope for. And it's like, all right, whatever. Let's go back to the drawing board, figure something out. And then again, I'll look at that campaign too and be like, why didn't this work? And it'll usually stand out to me. I'll be like, oh, I forgot, I didn't notice that. Okay, let's fix that. And then, it works like one of the times after that. But then there's other times when I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then we'll put it out there and it'll do very well. And I'll be like, wow, like, that was very surprising. Why did this work? And breaking down why it worked, analyzing everything, being like, oh, okay, that's very fascinating, right? And I think marketing is very interesting to me because, again, it involves psychology, it involves like people and what they're thinking and what their beliefs are and really where they want to get to, and really helping them, guide them through the process of overcoming their fears, making them believe in themselves. Like, that to me with marketing is a good thing, right? And that's why I think, again, copywriting is very powerful, because if you can give the right message to the right person at the right time, then that person and the buying decision becomes so much easier for them, right? But marketing is tough, man. Like, it's something that you need to study for a long time. If you've been into this and you're like, oh, I've been a digital entrepreneur and I've been doing this for a few years and hasn't worked, like, dude, I know, I feel you, man. Like, I was the same way. It took me a while for everything to click, right? And it's a process of constant and never-ending improvement where you have to always be, I think the Japanese call this Kaizen, but it's something where you have to constantly be working on improving your skills, right? It's the path to mastery. Great book I recommend, and I always talk about this, is one of my favorite top 5 books for sure, is Mastery by Robert Greene. And he talks about the 10,000 hours, right? It's Malcolm Gladwell talks about this too, and I think it's The Tipping Point or it's Blink, one of those two. He talks about the 10,000 hours you need to put in to become a master in the skill. And mastery is great because it gives you all sorts of examples. Like, I think he talks about Mozart and how he spent 10,000 hours becoming a genius musician. And he talks about this one fighter pilot, I think his name is Cesar Chavez, I think, or Cesar, I don't remember his name. Anyways, I think that dude is a good example. He gives the example as well of Manny Pacquiao, who was a mixed martial art fighter, and how he was able to master his skills. So it's something you have to really invest time and energy into learning continuously, right? You might have a marketing degree from a university, like, that's awesome, but a lot of those old tactics are from people who might not be up to date with all the latest social media trends that are happening, all the latest media buying strategies. They might not necessarily know a lot of the newer digital trends that are happening. So I think this is something where you need to really continue to educate yourself and make sure you're learning from people who know what they're talking about, who have results, who have proof and evidence, so you're not investing your time and money and energy into learning from the wrong people, because always look for people who have what you want whenever you want to learn something, whether it's marketing or anything for that fact. Like, find someone who is a master and who actually knows what they're talking about and can prove it and shows the same results and has some case studies from people they've got the results for, and then work with those people. And that's your best strategy, right? So focusing on the long-term gain, right? Investing in yourself, spending that 10,000 hours if you want to achieve mastery in marketing. I'm not there yet, right? Like, I'd say I'm maybe halfway there, like maybe a little bit more, but I still don't consider myself a marketer, right? It's been something I've really been studying for the last like 4 or 5 years, but I think once I get into my 40s, then I really think, because I've invested so much time and so much money into learning this stuff, and I've worked with so many different people in different industries, this is my ultimate goal, right? And I've talked about this, I think, before, like studying from the masters from back in the day, further back than a lot of the newer marketers. Like, nothing against young people. I think there's a lot of people who make money fast, and like that's awesome for them. But going back and studying a lot of the classic copywriters, like I've talked about before, like Claude Hopkins, David Ogilvy, and Eugene Schwartz, go back and study their stuff, because their stuff is just has stood the test of time. All the best marketers currently, all the new gurus talk about them. So I think going back and really studying them, that's your best goal, so that you'll stop sucking at marketing. And even after you do get those 10,000 hours, don't think of yourself as a master. Be humble and continue to learn and evolve. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would consider subscribing. Heck, go back and listen to some additional episodes so you can gain some additional tips and information on how to grow and scale your own business, or maybe you're thinking of starting your own business and startup. This should give you some additional information on doing that. Maybe even consider sharing this with someone that you know who is a marketer and wants to improve in this area of your life. My name is Matty Milligan. I want to thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo!